So I thought I would share with you lessons in tech from a first-timer because I call myself the accidental entrepreneur. I spent 33 years as a television broadcast journalist, foreign correspondent, war correspondent, and had an extraordinary opportunities to do some of the most serious and some of the most fun assignments on the planet, reporting from more than 40 countries, and loved it, and thought I would go feet first out of the newsroom. I just never, if you told me I'd be an entrepreneur, I would have said, not a chance, you don't know me. But as I was, my last position as ABC News London correspondent, I began to feel like my shelf life was going to expire. I just didn't want to do the celebrity stories I was being asked, and I was becoming kind of crusty. And I thought, okay, I'll take a buyout, and I'll figure it out. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I'll write a book or I'll teach. And while I was researching a university program I was putting together, I went to MozFest in London, a coding conference, and I met some developers who'd done this really interesting thing with transcription. And I said, you know, I've always wanted to know why I can't use automated speech. And that's where Trint was born. That's the company that I founded December 14, the day after I left ABC News. And it engages AI in a way never done to automatically transcribe your audio and video and make it cost-effective to do that, and saving you a lot of time. Well, when you do a startup, suddenly at cocktail parties, everybody says, I've got an idea for a startup, and you spend a lot of time hearing people tell you that they've got this brilliant idea. So I'm here to tell you that I've learned a few things about that, some cautionary tales. First of all, does the world really need your innovation? I met a lot of people who wanted to put together wine pairing apps. Here's the wine you should have with chicken. And I have to tell you, I'm sorry if you have one, I don't think the world needs it. So you gotta ask the tough question. And then, is it technically possible? You need to get a minimum viable product out quickly and affordably. And you can't go to Mars to do it. So you've got to actually have some understanding of the technical aspirations you have in mind. So you have to find some developers who can help you. And here's the big one that people generally miss at the cocktail party level. Who's going to pay for it? Because unless you're running a charity, and even a charity needs money, you have to have a path to monetization. And you've got to ask yourself the tough question, is there a product market fit? Is this such a great idea that people won't only pay for it, but they'll continue to pay for it? And that's really the core of the whole startup community. Can you sustain it? Because we do a lot of innovation, and it costs money, and good developers cost money, and so do sales and marketing people. Then you've got to say, where will the cash come from? Now, initially, you got to get some money to pay the initial team, and I'm a little old to live on pizza, and my parents are gone. There's no garage to live in, so you got to find some way to sustain yourself. You got to raise the money. So here's what the funding roadmap for Trint looked like: 150,000 initially, 4 funding rounds, up to 2.4 million pounds last year. We will do some sort of raise later this year. We don't know how much. We've raised 3.8 million pounds, $5.1 million so far. I didn't know I could do it. Well, what about VCs, you ask? Everybody says, oh, isn't it cool? Andreessen Horowitz and all those famous names. Wouldn't you love to have them on your cap table? Well, yeah, maybe not. Let me explain to you what the deal with VCs is. They have 100 million. They put 5 million into 20 startups. They need 400 million in 5 years. 100 million for themselves, 400 million for their investors. So what happens 5 years later? Here's what happens. There it is. 10 of those companies are bankrupt. 8 of them make a little bit of money. 2 of them better make 200 million each so that they can actually return it. That means, as the phrase is, your startup needs the possibility, if not the probability, of being a $200 million company. So you're going to have to dream really big. So what are the lessons? The lesson is, number one, this is unbelievably hard. It takes such perseverance. I can't tell you the hours you put in. 60, 80-hour weeks in the first year or two for sure. I knew nothing about business. Excel still makes my heart skip beats. I want to curl up in a fetal position under the table. I know nothing about business. I should not be doing this. I'm a reporter. I have no business degree. So the knowledge gap has been really hard. It is, though, really creative. And I think we as reporters, as journalists, think of ourselves as being creative. Creating software that didn't exist before is incredibly creative and really, really innovative. It's a mind puzzle. It's also incredibly fun. I think one of my proudest accomplishments, we started as a team of 4. Employee 34 starts on Monday. And I love the team. I have to say, the team is half my age, and it is so much fun hanging around with people who are half your age. And finally, I would say, you can do this, not just me. You have to have a shitload of energy. But we're all entrepreneurs as journalists. We hustle, we sell stories, we know how to ask questions and find answers to questions we don't know how to answer. And so it really is possible to do this. But just be prepared for a lot of work. People ask me, do you miss your old job? And I think I'm really proud to tell you I don't. I'm having way too much fun. Thanks.